Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video, we are going to make gunpowder roasted radishes. Gunpowder seasoning is an Indian blend of various spices, and there's no one true specific recipe. It's kind of like barbecue rub in that a lot of different people have a lot of different versions. This particular recipe was inspired by something I had seen on Milk Street TV utilizing potatoes. Instead of potatoes, though, we're going to make this keto by using radishes. Now, the great thing about radishes is once you roast them, they really mellow in terms of their flavor, and the texture is remarkably similar to potatoes. But even better than that, the carb count is very low. A half pound of radishes is just 4 grams of net carbs. Additionally, and optionally, as a sauce for these radishes, I'll be making Raita, which is a creamy, spicy, tangy yogurt sauce. But first, let's get going on the radishes. For this recipe, I'll be using avocado oil, the smoke point for which is 500 degrees Fahrenheit or 260 degrees Celsius. As such, I will be preheating my oven to 475 just to give me a little bit of buffer. I have here 2 pounds of radishes from which I have removed the stems and the roots. And I'm going to put these into a small stock pot. You can also use a large saucepan. Then I will add water, enough to cover my radishes, plus maybe an additional inch or so. I will bring these to a boil over high heat. For the spices, you can definitely use pre-ground. Generally, it is my preference, though, to grind my own right before cooking. It just releases a lot more aroma, a lot more flavor, a lot more punch. So that's what we're going to do in this video. For the gunpowder seasoning, I have a spice grinder, to which I will add 2 teaspoons of coriander, minus a couple seeds that drop out, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of fennel, and optionally 1/2 teaspoon of fenugreek. This will add a little more Indian flavor, plus just a tiny hint of maple. I'll pop on my cover and grind this, giving it a few shakes. I find that really helps to keep the spices from just dancing around the top of the cup. And that's what we're looking for right there. So I'm going to pop the top back on, tap this on the counter a couple of times. There we go. Then to a small saute pan over medium heat, I will add 4 tablespoons, or about 60 grams, of unsalted butter. And once that is melted, I will add my gunpowder seasoning. I'm going to stir this around for 2 to 3 minutes until it's bubbly and very fragrant. Then I will turn off the heat, remove this from the heat, and check on my potatoes. It's probably going to take about 25 to 30 minutes for my potatoes to be done, and I test them by sticking a toothpick into them. If it goes in easily and slides out easily, they're done. At about 30 minutes, that's what we're looking for. So I'm going to turn off the heat, take these to the sink, and drain them through a colander. Now I'm also going to spray them off because sometimes you'll get some chunks of skin that kind of turn brown and loose, and I just want to spray those off. I've chosen to line my cookie sheet with some aluminum foil here. This is not necessary, and in fact it will result in less crispy roasted radishes, but it also results in a lot easier cleanup. I'll give my pan a good spray with some avocado oil here, and then I will arrange my radishes, fat cut side down, with a little bit of space between each of them. That looks very good. So I'm going to spray them again on the tops and sides with some more avocado oil. And then using a ramekin or a flat bottom glass, I'm going to crush these down. Not fully, probably about the width of a pencil. And I find that sort of slow and gentle, slow and firm is the trick, because if you go too fast or too hard, you'll wind up cracking them. So into the oven, these will go for 20 minutes. I'd mentioned at the beginning of this video that we were going to make some Raita. It's an Indian yogurt dipping sauce. And to continue my barbecue sort of metaphor, if the gunpowder seasoning is like a barbecue rub, even though it doesn't taste like barbecue, I think I would compare Raita to like a barbecue sauce or any sort of a dip, honestly, in that there's no one true universal way of making it. So if there are any ingredients in this that you don't care for, whether it's cilantro or maybe you want to dial back on the spice and not include the serrano or jalapeno, that is completely okay. And I will tell you that you are going to have some leftovers on this, which you can use as a dip for, say, cucumbers or celery, maybe even pork rinds. You can put it on chicken, or save it for your next batch of roasted radishes. As I mentioned, we'll be using full-fat Greek yogurt for the Raita. This is pretty low-carb stuff, at just 5 grams for 3/4 of a cup. And that's how much we're going to be using, 3/4 of a cup or 170 grams. I'll include a link to this variable measuring cup down in the description below. Very handy. To this, we will add the juice of 1 lime. You can use fresh or bottled. If you're using fresh and don't have a citrus grinder, or crusher, or whatever you call this thing, juicer, I'll include a link to that as well in the description. Then I have 2 green onions, which I am going to thinly slice. And about 1 tablespoon of finely chopped cilantro. Optional if you don't like cilantro. Next, we have 1 serrano chili or a small jalapeno, which I'm going to thinly slice and then give a rough chop to. Mix this all together, and you'll notice that it's still pretty thick. So I'm going to thin this out a little bit with 2 tablespoons or 30 ml of water. Stir this gently so it doesn't spatter. Then I'll add a few grounds of fresh black pepper, a 2-finger pinch of salt, mix this together, and give it a taste. Oh yeah. After 20 minutes, we'll remove the radishes from the oven. And flip them over. Now, initially I was using a small metal spatula, but I kept tearing into the aluminum foil here. So, if you're using aluminum foil, my suggestion instead is to use a plastic spatula, which, once I switched to, worked like butter. Much, much better than the metal spatula. Then I'll return these to the oven for another 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, we pull them out, and you can see that a few on the edge, I must have crushed these a little bit too thinly, got a little bit burnt. So I'm going to pull these out just so I don't completely turn them into ash. Then I will take my gunpowder seasoning / butter sauce and give all of my radishes a nice coating on the top with a brush. Then I will return these to the oven for a final 5 minutes. You may also have some leftover gunpowder and butter sauce. If you do, you can mix that with riced cauliflower or hearts of palm rice for a pretty tasty side dish. After 5 minutes, it's the big reveal. Sizzling, fragrant gunpowder radishes. I'm going to take just a couple of these off, put them on a plate for a little taste test. Little dab of Raita on each one. Now normally I would eat these with a fork, but it's not dinner time yet, so we're just both doing a quick taste test.
That is really good. It is spicy, it's tangy, it's creamy, it's great.
Texture is very good. Awesome.
One of the things that I really love about this recipe is it is as much a technique as it is a recipe. If you don't want to do the gunpowder seasoning or the Raita sauce, you can put pretty much any seasoning on top of these roasted radishes during the last 5 minutes. Ranch powder, Italian seasoning. In fact, I did some with Italian seasoning and then some grated Parmesan. Then I tried some with some bacon seasoning from Tastefully Simple. And then I also tried some tahine, chili lime seasoning. The bacon was pretty stellar, but the Italian seasoning and the grated Parmesan, that might deserve its own recipe video soon. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, tap that subscribe button, then hit the bell to turn on all notifications. And if you really loved it and like having that new substitution for potatoes, click that thanks button. Buy me some more radishes. And thanks for watching.